We're just gonna wait because YouTube loves to cut off my intro. So we're waiting. Alright, that's enough waiting. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Dolly video. With me, as per usual, your favorite Dolly guru-ish. I don't know if I'd call me a guru. But, yeah, so tonight, if you saw the title of this video and or the thumbnail, then you know that I am going to be answering some of your questions, and I did write down quite a few, 3 pages worth, and I'm sure there's more to be answered, but right now this is just all I have. And I am probably going to be doing these in parts because there's 11 questions here, probably 11 questions on each page, 3 pages full of questions. So let's just get right into it. Hello. So yeah, the first question that I thought of, and I didn't go through my videos and the comments to look at all the questions. I just these are just like frequently asked questions that I get asked a lot on all different platforms, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, like everything. So whatever question popped into my head is how I wrote it down. There is no like specific order. However, when I did think of one question for one specific doll, I kind of wrote down another one relating to that certain doll, I guess. But yeah, a lot of these are kind of swishy swashy, random, jumping all over the place. So, yeah, just gonna get right into it. First question is, how do you fix frizzy Chrissy tails? And the amount that I get this question is like outstanding. I know I do have a little side note. For most of these questions that I wrote down, there is probably a video or two on like answering that question somewhere on one of my social media pages. I know a few of these, the answers to them, like the videos that I made for them, are on YouTube. But there is probably some on Facebook, TikTok, you know, whatever, a little spread around. But yeah, how do I fix my frizzy Chrissy tails? And I actually have a doll here that I haven't restored yet. I haven't even done anything with besides brushing her hair out. And this is Little Miss Dina from the Chrissy family of Grow Hair dolls. And her tail is, it's not the worst I've seen, but it's got some frizz to it. So you can see it is pretty poofy. So I'm going to be showing you on her how to fix your frizzy Chrissy family doll hair. And this method that I'm going to show you works on all of the dolls besides the earlier dolls with the wool type hair. Kind of like Miss Daphne, she has the wool type hair, but she has a nylon tail that I put in when I got her because her original wool type hair was just frizzed, and she's a hair to floor doll and her hair came to about her knees. So I did replace that with a floor length nylon tail. But yeah, this method, bleh, it's already starting, I can't talk. This method will work on the dolls with the nylon hair, but do not use it on the earlier dolls with the wool type hair. So yeah, I'm going to show you on her, and I have my little clamp here that I'm going to put her in. And just for reference, I am using my straightener, and whenever, especially when it comes to using a straightener and straightening your doll's hair, you don't just want to use it on dry hair. You do indefinitely want some water bottle, or something like that to keep the hair wet so the heat from the straightener doesn't burn the hair, because this is synthetic hair, it is plastic, it is not real hair. But yeah, so, oh, I think this is a little too close. Let me, move her back a little bit. Here we go. Okay. All right, so you have your doll with frizzy hair, and I'm just gonna turn her head. Oh, I should have put her the other way. Okay. Well, as you all know, for those that watch my videos, none of this is scripted. I kind of just, it's all just real time. So if there's bloopers in this video or any of my videos, then there's bloopers. And I am not really too worried about it. So I'm gonna turn her around and face her this way, because I always start from the left side. Don't ask me why, but I always start from the left side of the tail and work towards the right. So, and hopefully my music is quiet enough to where I won't get some kind of violation about copyright or anything like that, because I don't need the sound muted on my videos. The most challenging doll I worked on, still to this day, Talking Barbie and Talking Small Talk. Talking Small Talk, not Small Talk dolls and Talking Barbies for sure. All right, so you have your doll, and like I said, you do need some kind of water, whether it be a spray bottle or maybe if you even wet the hair in the sink or the tub or however you do it before you start. And then you have your straightener here, and be advised, if you do use a straightener or any kind of heat on your doll's hair, I suggest using one with the little turn knob with the numbers on it, so you can start at the lowest temperature and do a test strand, and then with that test strand work your way up in like the heat scale until you're comfortable enough and the hair is straight enough so that you don't completely fry your doll's hair. And I've been doing this long enough. This goes up to about 30. So I have it about in between 10 and 15 is where I realized I can straighten my doll's hair without it completely frying it. So I'm just gonna turn that on and leave that for a few. And then while I do that, I am just going to carefully brush her hair out, because the little, the rubber, like, I don't know what it's called. It's like the little rubber ponytail that sits at the very top inside of the head that holds the hair together, disintegrated on her, and I haven't replaced it yet. So I'm trying to gently brush her hair so it doesn't come all uneven. And I'm only showing you on a couple of strands because her hair is not completely brushed out. As you can see, it's still very knotty up here, because I didn't want to go too close and have it end up completely ruining this tail, because this hair is split, like folded in half, and then the string is put through that goes down inside of her. So you have your doll, your tail, and your hair is brushed out. And then you want to use your water. I should probably move some stuff because this is a new spray bottle and it's not very misty, I guess you could say. So I'm actually going to stand up for this. So I'm going to raise my phone and tripod here. Okay. And then we'll put it down. Okay, so this is just the method that I use. If you find a method that is like simpler and easier for you to work with, then by all means use that method, but this is just the method that I've always used. So you're gonna wet your hair. And yeah, this is going everywhere. And I forgot to put a towel on the ground. And that is what I mean by not scripted, because I am always forgetting stuff. Okay, and then you brush your hair out and get all those knots out. And I use multiple brushes just to really get the knots out. And then after I do that, I like to run my fingers down it and get all that excess water out. And then, go figure, I don't have my scissors over here. Alright, so just take your straightener and, problems. Okay, so take your straightener and just go down. The sizzling and the smoke is very much normal. No need to freak out about that. And you just go down the doll's hair until you're satisfied or until the frizz is completely gone. I like to make, I like to make a few passes just to make sure the hair is totally and completely straight, just to really get that frizz out and flattened. And then after you're satisfied, brush the hair smooth and then smooth it out with your fingers, and then just kind of lay it to the side and let it dry. And then you move on to your next strand. And I usually tend to like to work in smaller sections because I find it does a lot better of a job of getting all that frizz out. And if you use bigger sections, you have to make more passes with the straightener just to be able to get all of the frizz out. So and then flatten it out. And then you take your straightener and straighten. And in my experience, you do want to go slow, but not too slow as to burn the hair. The higher the heat setting, the faster you want to go, so you don't burn the hair. Just like so. And then I'm just gonna grab my one pair of scissors that I have here, which probably won't work very well, but she has a lot of pieces at the end that are a lot longer. So after I get it straightened out, I will just trim those off, just to make sure everything is nice and even. And these scissors suck. And then after that, I'll just take everything and brush it together. Brush it nice and smooth and just put it towards the front and let it dry. And just like that, you have a tail with no more frizz. It is literally that easy. And again, I cannot stress this enough. Always, 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 always use water if you are putting any kind of heat on your doll's hair, whether it be a Chrissy doll or Barbies or any kind of doll, because you never know how the synthetic hair will react to the heat and what the tolerance is for that heat. Okay, I'm gonna lower this back down, point that back up. Hello, hello. So, and then there she is, and she now has her two smoothed out sections of hair. And now I'm just going to remove her from this and set her to the side so I can finish her later. Also, I recommend that if you do have a Chrissy doll and you want to straighten the frizz out of her hair, make sure always you wash and condition it first so it is clean and it is not sealing the dirt into her hair. Because you don't want a doll with hair that looks dirty. Because that is no bueno. And that is how you get rid of frizzy, Chrissy hair. Okay. And now just move this stuff out of my way. Turn my straightener off. Okay. Oh, severely crooked camera. Cute dolls, thank you. Are they haunted? This one is. This is Miss Daphne. She is my first edition doll. Do I sell my dolls? Yes, I do. I do sell my dolls on eBay. Number one hair care tip. I don't know. I have a few. One of them being, like I just said, if you ever use heat, make sure you have water. And also, these two brushes are lifesavers for doll hair. These are pet brushes. These are the metal bristles and then the soft black plastic bristles. They work wonders. Absolute magic for doll hair, for shining it up and really loosening up those knots to be able to brush it out easier. Okay, next question is, like I just said, how do you get your Chrissy's hair so smooth and shiny? With these brushes. I do have multiples of them. I do have multiples like these and this and this, and I know I just had another one I saw. I'm not sure where it's at now, but yes, these brushes, any kind of brush like this with these metal bristles or these plastic bristles, lifesavers for doll hair. That right there is how I get my doll's hair so shiny. Unless it is one of these chatties, which, again, they do definitely help for sure. But the way I get it so smooth and shiny is, again, with water and one of these brushes. And I will show you guys that in another video, because that question is on one of my multiple question pages here. And yeah. Sorry, flavored air check. All right. How do you restring a talkie velvet? Another question I get a lot. Actually, you know what? We're gonna go to the next one and then we're gonna circle back to that one because I have these right in front of me. How do you restring a chatty baby or chatty family doll? That is a very good question. Um, if you're new to chatty repair, I would suggest going on YouTube or Google and looking up different videos. Um, that's another doll repair restoration tip that I cannot stress enough. If you're going to get into doll repair and restoration, especially vintage doll repair and restoration, do your research. Research, research, research. Videos, blogs, anything with any kind of information that will help guide you and teach you and help you learn. Because these vintage dolls, especially Chatty Baby, Chrissy, Chatty Cathy, like any doll that's vintage, they can be very finicky. Um, and also, different companies used different kinds of hair for their dolls, whether it be Kanekalon, nylon, um, poly, whatever that word is. I don't even know how to say it. I'm not even going to try because I'm going to butcher it. Um, but yes, you want to get into doll repair and restoration, do your research. All the research you possibly can. Even if you have to spend a week doing your research, do it. Because I have been doing doll repair and restoration for many, 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 many years, and still to this day I am still learning different tips and tricks to help me restore my dolls so I don't damage them in the process. Um, like I did with this record. This is a I believe this is a Chatty Cathy record. It came out of a brown-eyed Chatty who had the Lucille Bliss voice. And this was back when I was still learning how to clean my Chatty records. But as you can see, this little spot right here, which is lighter than the rest of the record, that is actually melted because I used what's it called? It wasn't nail polish remover, it was, I can't remember. But basically, if you're gonna, well, I'm gonna answer that in a few, because that's another question. So how to restring. Um, Again, do your research. I have lots and lots of videos on my page about how to restring Chatty dolls, Talkie velvets, look around Chrissy's and velvets, all kinds of videos on how to do that. But on most Chatty dolls, you will find they actually kind of vary. I guess depending on the year and whatever. But some have the string that comes through the top right here, and then others have the knot down inside of here, like where the string is wrapped around. But I'm going to show you on this one. I could show you on both because before I discovered the string that I used to restring my chatties, I was using kite string, and it breaks very, very easily, and it's not recommended. So I'm going to show you on this one. This is one of my test bodies that I use for different records after I clean them. And I use this body to see how loud they are. So this is, I believe, a Chatty Cathy record. But she has the kite string. So I'm going to show you on her how to restring it, because she needs new string anyway. And this girl is probably going to be a pain because, again, like I said, this is back when I used kite string and not actual string. And I didn't know that the string went through the top like this one. So I just wrapped the string around the entire clutch, put a knot, and then wrapped it. And that was not successful because it wasn't tight enough. So every time I pulled the string would unwind because it was so loose, and then it was just a nightmare. So, and I also, if you can see that, put entirely too much string on this record, which didn't need to be a thing. yeah, if you're ever restringing chatties, you never, ever, ever need this much string. And then you can see down there where I just wrap the string around the entire clutch and then put a knot. And then you can see how I can just kind of rotate it. So every time I pulled the string, it would just, the string would turn and I wouldn't be able to get a good pull out of it. But this girl, okay, so as I was saying, this girl, you can see the string comes out the top right there, which is how it was originally. And then on some, you can see maybe there's a little slot down in there, right there, which the string would go through, and then it was knotted, and then it would just, it wouldn't turn. So you were able to wrap the string and then easily pull the string, wrap the coil and the clutch, and it was just wonderful. So I don't have the proper tools to cut that string, so I'm going to use this one. And again, too much string. Because back then, when I started my repair and restoration on my dolls, I didn't have videos like these to teach and guide me. So, string comes through the top, and then it just pulls out. Again, too much string, just like that. And then this one doesn't have that little slot on the inside of the clutch to where you could tie it on the inside. So this one just came through the top right there. And that's how this clutch was made. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my string, which is here. This is, I believe there's a hole through the center, but I believe it's Dacron or Dacron premium braided fishing line. And this string, as you can see, it is very similar, if not exact, to what Mattel used originally for their dolls back in the day. So I just take a little bit of this and I will cut it. If these scissors will cut nicely. Thank you. So now you have your string, and then I'm going to put a knot on the end of it. And since this comes out the top and not the inside, I'm going to put a couple knots just to make sure it is super secure. Just like that. So you have your knots. And if this was on the inside, I would use my pliers to pull this really tight and then cut off that little tail. And then you're gonna take your side that's not knotted, and that's just gonna go right through that little opening on there, whether it be on the top or the inside. And it's gonna come through just like that. Bam. And now you have your string. And now with the chatties, they all wrap counterclockwise. Oops. So that will go counterclockwise. And then when you pull the string, it'll wrap the spring up, and then the clutch will stop it from unwinding, and then your record will play, just like that. And that is how you restring your chatty records. And that works for, same process for all the chatty records: Chatty Baby, Tiny Chatty Baby, Singin' Chatty, Chatty Patty. If it's a doll with a pull string, it will most likely have that same process. The only variation will be, like I said, whether it comes out the top, whether the knot is on the top of the clutch or on the inside of the clutch. So that is how you restring your records. And then this one, I'm just gonna wrap back up because this is a lot of string, which I'll probably have to redo later. But yeah, back in the day when I used my kite string, it would break so often that I thought that when it did break, I would just cut off the frayed ends and then I would have more string so I didn't have to restring her again. I mean, props to me, I did think ahead. Alright, so, restringing a talkie velvet. I don't have a talkie velvet around that I can restring, but I do have this 6-phrase talkie Chrissy who is not working because her speaker is messed up. So I'm going to use her as a reference. And first thing, which is, see, Exhibit A, not scripted. I don't have a screwdriver. I gotta go get one. So I will be right back. That's another thing I like to do. I like to go on little adventures in my videos. Okay. Now, so, say this is your talkie velvet. Fun fact, the 6-phrase talkie Chrissy has the same mechanism as the talkie velvet. So, if you ever get a 6-phrase that doesn't have a string, it's an easy fix, because if you know how to repit or restring a talkie velvet, then you know how to restring a 6-phrase talkie Chrissy. So, what you're going to want to do is, obviously she's in parts and pieces, she doesn't have a tail, but you would remove the tail by taking out the pin in the back, and then removing your knob, and just pushing the belly button through. And you don't have to take it all the way out. You can keep the tail in there while it's still attached to this. It won't come out. At least in my history of repairing talkie velvets and Chrissies, that's been the case. It usually never comes out. But you can take it out if you want, if it makes you more comfortable. So, and then you would remove the screws. However many screws are in your doll, you would remove those. Exhibit B, not scripted, going through and removing all the screws. I think that's one thing I like about my videos, that I hope other people like about my videos, is that it's not scripted and it's not cut together and jumpy around. Yeah, apparently. But yeah, my videos are all live. I don't do any kind of editing to them because I'm no good at that. So, what you see is what you get. I am very authentic. Alright, so now you have all your screws out. And then any doll that has any kind of screws that you take out to open up, usually the mechanisms are on the back half of the doll. So I'll take all the limbs and I'll point them downward and lay her on her back like this. And then front half will pop off like that. With talkie velvets and the 6-phrase talkie Chrissy, the head and neck cone are completely attached to the front half and they do not come off. So no worry about losing her head. And then obviously you would just remove the limbs And then this is what the Talkie Velvet and 6 Frizz Talkie Chrissy voice box looks like. They are completely gear driven. Well, not completely. Obviously, there's a spring there to kind of like the regular Chatty spring loaded. But yeah, you have your record here. You have your gears in there with your little governor, also known as the speed control. And then you have your string here, and then your spring coil here, and your needle obviously here. So if I'm ever restringing a Talkie Velvet, I would always remove this needle and the little spring on there, which I'm not gonna do. But, so this is what your Talkie Velvet or Chrissy would look like. And then what I do, this is gonna be kind of hard to see, I know. But you're gonna take your record and push it. Oh, I lied. You're gonna, what I do anyway, is I use the side of my thumb, and then I just push it down like that, and then you can see how the spring coil is wrapping up. And then I actually am going to remove this spring, or needle and spring, because it's just gonna get in the way. But you always want to keep track of that and where it's at and how it goes. Of course, now you're not going to want to cooperate. Alright, anyway, so you're just going to use your thumb and rotate your needle, or your record, down, because you can see how it's wrapping up the spring there, and then use your other thumb and hold this part so it doesn't reel back out. And then you can see your spring there getting wrapped up. Oops. Just like that. And it's hard to do that with a string on there. But basically you would wrap that up all the way like you were pulling the string. And then it's hard to tell with the Talkie Velvets how far to go. But I would usually go until I'm pretty comfortable with how far it is. And then you can see in there, right there, you can see where the knot is that holds the string. It's where you need like 3 hands. You would get your string, put the knot in it, stick it through, and then get it through the back of her, and then you would be able to let it go, and it would wrap your string up automatically, so you don't have to worry about it coming undone again. And then now you have your restrung Talkie Velvet, just like so. So now I'm going to take a minute and get this spring. Oh, of course now the needle comes off when I don't need it to anymore. Alright, I'm gonna get this back onto the needle here. And I guarantee you this is gonna cause me so many more issues. Oh, maybe not. Okay. And I do apologize if I'm explaining this horribly. Alright. Another thing to watch out for is this spring back here that pushes the whole mechanism up, so that when you release the string, it's pushing the needle up against the speaker, so that when you release the string, her needle will play across the record and then against the speaker, and then that's what gives her her voice. I love the Chrissy dolls. Me too. Hello, hello, hello. Is there a doll you wish to add to your collection? Um, I know there's quite a few, but not one that I can think of off the top of my head. That is a very good question, though, that I'm probably going to add to my list. All right. So that is how you repair those. And then I'm just going to put her back together so that nothing gets lost. Because I am very good at that. I am very, very good at losing pieces. And like I said, this Talkie Chrissy does work, but with her speaker being damaged, she'll start her phrase and then the needle will stop about midway through the record, and then it'll just sit there and just blah, 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 blah. Just sit there and just destroy the record. So I can't play her. But that is pretty much how you would restring your Talkie Velvet. So, hang tight while I put all the screws back in here so I do not lose them, because I am notorious for losing screws. I'm very, very good at that. Not even just screws either. Anything that is needed for doll repair. I usually end up losing it if I don't keep track of it. Like nowadays when I'm doing a repair like this and I have to remove screws or something, as soon as I get the doll open, I will put the screws back in the other half of the body and screw them in so that I don't lose them. Alright, so now she's all back together. Okay, restringing chatty dolls, showed you that. Okay, how do you clean a chatty record? That I can show you. So, again, show you on my tester body here. You know what? I'm just going to show you on this record. So this is the record that we just restrung. So I'm just going to put this doll back together. And I would usually clean the records before I get the housing off to replace the O-ring, because I don't know, I just find it to be much easier. Alright. Let me get this string all through this housing. And just to give a little info while I'm doing this, I found that 70% isopropyl rubbing alcohol works best for cleaning any chatty records, whether it be the earlier dolls like this or the tiny chatties, chatty babies, singing chatties. Fantastic job cleaning records. That's another thing that I cannot stress enough. If you're going to be, or if you already are, one to repair these pull string talking dolls, always, 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 always clean your record. Because that record probably has years of dirt, dust, anything that has gotten in there and on the record, you don't want the needle going over that because it will cause damage to the needle and the record, and you don't want that because you don't want your doll skipping, and you want a nice loud and clear voice. You don't want a voice that has all the popping and the skipping, any of that. So, oops. Where? Oh, it's up here. All right, so to clean chatty records, like I said, 70% isopropyl and Q-tips. So you have your doll. All you're gonna do is take your Q-tip, dip it in your alcohol, shake the excess off, and then your Q-tip is basically gonna act like your needle. So you're gonna pull the string, and then you're gonna hold your thumb, just like kind of on Talkie Chrissy, hold your thumb on the clutch so that it doesn't retract, and then put your Q-tip, see if I can kind of zoom in, put your Q-tip on your record, and then just slowly let the record go, and then you can kind of use your thumb to guide it. And then you see how the Q-tip kind of went along the record, kind of like the needle would, And then you can see how that came off dirty. And you're just gonna do that over and over and over. Sometimes you would use multiple Q-tips, and you would just do that until your Q-tip came off clean. And then you would use the other side to dry it. And then you can kind of hear the squeakiness of it. So you kind of know it's clean, but sometimes it'll still come off a little dirty. So then you would get another Q-tip and just repeat the process. Just like so. So you can see now kind of the record is really nice and super shiny. And that is what you want. As you can see this is a really old record from an earlier version doll, so it's not as reflective as it should be. But you can kind of see the lights from my ring light. That is what you want. You want it to look basically like you're looking into a mirror. You want it to be just a perfect reflection, no dirt, no dust. And then also, when you clean your record, you also want to clean your needle. And I usually just go underneath and behind the needle and just twirl the Q-tip just to get all that dirt off of there. And then, I'm not sure how loud this is. I'm honestly not even sure what that said. I know that was Do You Love Me? So this record is actually pretty loud, surprisingly. But yeah, so that is how you would clean your chatty records. And like I said, you can see that spot right there is not what you want to see. These earlier records are very, very finicky. Because 90% didn't work on them. It also melted the record. I went through so much stuff trying to learn how to clean these records. I have a whole bag somewhere of records, like just records that are melted and scratched and ruined from me doing a lot of trial and error process, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work for cleaning these records. Because, like I said, back when I started back in the day, I didn't have videos like this, so I was basically going blind on my repairs and restorations. So, but yeah, so that is how you clean your chatty records. And like I said, again, it is 70% isopropyl, or however you say that, rubbing alcohol, and Q-tips. It's that simple. That's all you need. Um, hello. All right. Where do you get your O-rings for chatty dolls? So I have a bunch up here. Oh, I just lost one. So I have a ton up here from the last time I bought O-rings, and I get mine off eBay. I pretty much just look up chatty O-rings or O-rings for chatty dolls, pull string talking dolls, and you'll usually find a couple sellers who do have them. Unfortunately, I bought these from the same seller I bought them from previously, because I buy these O-rings a lot because I have a lot of talking dolls. But for some reason, I'm not sure if when that person reordered these and got them in, if they ordered the wrong size. But these are actually, I want to say, a size or two too big, or a couple inches too big. Because my dolls do talk very fast with them. Not fast enough to where you can't understand them. I'll just show you. So this is a chatty baby I recently got and restored off of eBay. And those are one of the O-rings I used. And this is how she sounds. She is a bit fast. So you can understand her, but you can tell she is rather fast. When reality, she should actually... Oh, what'd I do with her? Oh. When really, she should sound kind of like this. So this girl, she's just a smidge fast, but she's more the correct speed than that girl. So she should sound like that, but yeah. So I don't know if the O-rings they ordered were, like I said, a size too big or maybe a couple inches too big, or they just hit the wrong one when they ordered them. But yeah, they are a little bit too big. So they are, when I do repair my dolls, they are just a tad bit fast. But I do get my O-rings off eBay. You just go on there, look up chatty O-rings or O-rings for chatty dolls, O-rings for pull string talking dolls, pretty much anything like that, and it's guaranteed you will find a listing or two for those O-rings, and you're usually able, because when I ordered these, I ordered 12 of them. So on most of them, you are able to pick the quantity that you want, whether it be just 1 or 3 or 5, you know, etc. But yeah, so I can't remember the name of the person I bought these from, but I don't think I'll probably be ordering from them again. But yeah, so I get my O-rings off of eBay. I wonder if the chatty records are actually vinyl or something different. Like polystyrene or shellac. I think a couple of them, most of them are. I think someone said before, way in the past on a post I made, but I think they're polystyrene, if that's how you say it. I think most of them are the poly whatever. The later ones, like, because there's different chatty colors. The earlier ones, like these, I'm not sure what kind this is, but like I said, it's very, very, very touchy and finicky with what you can use to clean it, because as you can see, I melted that one. And this came out of a brown-eyed doll, which is the Lucille Bliss voice, which is a harder to find. So I did ruin this record, but this does still talk. But so there's brown records, there's black records, which probably about 75% of the dolls had. And then the later dolls, I know the tiny chatties have black, white, and yellow records. The chatty babies have black and white. I have one chatty baby, one, that I've ever seen with a baby blue record. Beautiful. And then the chatty Cathy's came with the black, white, and orange. And then, of course, the brown. But the later ones, like the yellow tiny chatty babies, the white tiny chatty babies, and then the orange chatty Cathy's, the white chatty babies. Yeah, those ones are all, they always sound super, super, super nice and crystal clear. And then these brown ones, the black ones, and then there was another one I can't remember right now, but they usually sound kind of fuzzy. They have that background kind of staticky noise, even though the record's clean. And that's just how the record was made, whatever they used to make it. And then, yeah, the white, yellow, orange, and then the baby blue are all super, super nice, crystal clear, no staticky noise, no background noise. And that's after you clean them. They sound so beautiful. So beautiful. So I'm not sure what kind of material it was that they used to make the records, but I know the later ones sounded a lot better. Polystyrene does not do well with a super high isopropyl alcohol percentage. Yeah, this one, it wasn't the isopropyl I used on it that melted it. I can't remember what it was. But it wasn't the isopropyl. But yeah, the later versions, like the white, the yellow, the orange, those can handle the 90%. And then I went down to the 70% because I found that it just cleaned the records a lot better than the 90%. But yeah, styrene records usually become fuzzy over time from being played. Yeah, that makes sense, because a lot of these ones, especially hers, if you could hear, hers was very, very fuzzy sounding, even though she was a little fast. And then the other girl, I want to say she has a black record, but it's super nice and super crystal clear. I also noticed that because she is a number, I want to say she has a number 4 grill. But I noticed the number 3 dolls with the open paper speaker, and then the number 4 dolls, they have a record that is usually like, it's not super like, it's like this one. This came out of, I believe, a number 3 Chatty Cathy. And you can see how it looks fuzzy. This record was cleaned multiple times, but it still has that fuzzy look to it. Like, it's not a super perfect mirror finish. And it has that super fuzzy kind of background staticky sound to it. But it is very, very nice and crystal clear. It just has that fuzzy sound to it, and then it's not a perfect mirror looking finish. But that's only on the number 3 and 4 dolls. Shh. The number 5 dolls, which have the 4 holes underneath the grill, are always super nice and crystal clear. Perfect mirror finish, just like the white, the orange, and the yellow records. All were perfect glossy mirror finish. All right. Okay. So, what products do you use to clean your doll's hair? I will answer that in just a second. Give me 1 second. I will be right back. Okay, so, oh yeah, I do. All right, so, products I use to clean my doll's hair. So much stuff in the way because I'm very unorganized. All right, so, products that I use to clean my doll's hair is simply Dawn dish soap to wash it, clean it, and then Garnier Whole Blends Honey Treasures Repairing Conditioner. And that is what I use. Dawn dish soap to clean it, get all that nasty dirt and, 60 years of whatever out of her hair. And then the conditioner to soften it up and just, I actually have here a velvet that I just did. And this is the result. And it's the Dawn that really, really gave her that shine back in her hair. But yeah, I would, when I'm washing the hair, I'll put the Dawn in and I'll lather it up and scrub it. And then I'll use one of my little metal bristle brushes and I'll brush it through really thoroughly to just make sure every strand is clean. And I'll do the same thing with the tail. I wash the tail and the base hair separately. So usually with these Chrissy family dolls, I will take the tail out completely and then I'll wash her head and then I'll do the tail after. But yeah, so the Dawn, brush it through, rinse it out, brush her hair smooth again while there's nothing in it, it's just clean. And then I'll take my conditioner and I'll put some of that in there. And then same thing, take my brush it through, make sure every strand gets covered, rinse it out. And then after I rinse everything out, the Dawn and the conditioner, I will kind of brush her hair and style it however I want it. Like this girl, I did her hair, I kind of brushed it back. And then, so now it's able to kind of sit behind her ears. And it just looks really nice and neat, and it's not all like in her face. But yeah, super, super, super shiny hair. And then to give it that extra shine after it dries, again, backtracking, I'll use my brushes, like these. And I'll just use these, and I'll just brush the hair, and it'll really, really bring out that extra shine in her hair. Just like so. But yeah, I do that with all of my dolls, whether it be Chrissy dolls, Velvet, can't talk, Chrissy dolls, Chatty dolls, Giggles, pretty much any doll that I wash and condition, I will use Dawn and this conditioner. I also use this conditioner on myself. And then after it dries, again, no matter what doll I'm doing, I will use my brushes. Just about every brush I have will be used on whatever doll that I just washed and conditioned. And I could literally spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours brushing a doll's hair just to give it that super, super nice, glossy, mirror-like finish. And it's just, depending on how her hair dries and how I style it after, these dolls just, they look straight off the factory line, and I just, makes me so, so happy because I'm bringing these dolls back to life. Like, all that shine, all the way down. But yeah, so that is what I use to clean my doll's hair. Dawn Dish Soap and Garnier Whole Blends Honey Treasures Conditioner. I will warn you though, this works really, 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 really good to soften the hair and make it like soft as feathers. However, you do not want to use a lot because it will make the hair greasy. I made that mistake with her, and I used a little more than I should have. And so her hair kind of now has that greasy look. So if I brushed it right now, it would look like it's wet. Like I just brushed it, like I put a brush through it, and it's got like it separates. But yeah, so don't use too much because it will make your doll's hair greasy. But yeah, so that is what I use on my dolls to make it look super pretty and shiny. Yes, Jay, a little bit, just the tiniest bit goes a long way, especially on this synthetic hair. Especially on synthetic hair. And again, it's also what I used on this chatty baby to give her her nice, super duper, super shiny hair. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. Next. Do you repair dolls for others? Yes, I do. I do have a Dolly Day Spa, which is obviously, that's what I'm trying to get my name changed to all my social media. I do have a Dolly Day Spa page on Facebook, and then that's also my name of my eBay store. And then I was going to change it on here, but it seems like too many people know me as Stevie Aaron, so I might just leave that one. But yeah, Steven's Dolly Day Spa. It is on Facebook, and I do repair dolls for others. A lot of people have chatty dolls that I repair, or that they want me to repair. And I usually say no to chatties, repairing chatties for others, because I don't have the proper chemicals to seal the seams back together. And then also, usually when someone has a chatty for me to repair, it's usually a chatty Cathy with the cloth covered speaker, which I don't even do myself because the black box inside, which holds the inner mechanisms of the doll, the earlier dolls like this are so incredibly very fragile. The plastic is just, it's, I don't suggest it. However, if you're someone who does repair these dolls successfully, good on you. Props to you. But with my experience, the plastic always just disintegrates, and you can never get the voice box back together the way it was originally. But yeah, so I don't repair chatties for others, except for one person. There's one person I repair chatties for, and he is a very, 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 very dear friend. And I told him when we first started this that I don't use chemicals to seal them back together or, anything like that. He said, that's fine. Just put a rubber band around them. I'm perfectly fine with that. So that's what I've been doing. And that's what I do with my own dolls. I mean, I don't put a rubber band around them. However, they're usually pretty solid enough to where they stay closed and they don't come open or lose limbs or anything like that. Um, my definitely my number one specialty is obviously these Chrissy dolls. Probably not the earlier dolls like her with the wool hair, but if they have like the nylon hair, then definitely, because they always clean up beautifully. Like you saw with that velvet that I showed. Chrissy dolls always, 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 just about probably 95% of the time, clean up looking straight up factory mint. And it's just, it's beautiful. Beautiful. Um, Obviously, being obsessed with Chrissy's. Chrissy's are my favorite to restore. I do restore Giggles by Ideal, the big Giggles and the baby Giggles. And then, I don't know, I think that's about it. I mean, I restore a lot of dolls myself, personally. But there's usually a lot of, when people come to me about dolls and having them repaired, it's usually a doll I haven't had any kind of experience with. So I usually don't take them because I don't want to take a chance at ruining their doll because I've never restored one of those dolls before. So it would be like a trial and error thing. And if something happens that, ruins that doll or destroys it even more than it already is, I'm going to feel really, really bad. And I would probably have to replace that doll, which, depending on the doll and how easy it is to find or how expensive it is, etc., etc. So I usually tend to stick to the Chrissy family dolls and Ideal Giggles. I have repaired Chrissy dolls for quite a few people, and they are always just jaw-dropped with how beautiful they come out. So I do repair dolls for others, preferably the Chrissy family dolls and Giggles. Now, the Chatty dolls, I can do those if it's really, really necessary, if you're really desperate for it. But like I said, I don't have the chemicals to seal them back together. So when you get them back, they will probably just have a rubber band around their waist, but they will talk and they will look super, super, super duper pretty, like this girl. And I also don't do any facial coloring touch-ups because I have tried to repaint there was a Chrissy doll I got off eBay. She was missing all of her face paint, and so she got a reroot, and I tried to redo her face, her eyebrows, and it just, it was nothing. It looks like a toddler did it. So I don't repaint. But yeah, so I do repair dolls for others, but preferably Chrissy family dolls, Giggles, stuff like that. Who is your favorite Chrissy family member? In my collection, it's probably this girl, Miss Daphne here, which is one of my spirited dolls. But in general, I would probably say Carrie or Talkie Velvet. Talkie Velvet is just, she's so pretty. And a lot of people are not a fan of her haircut because she has kind of like the mullet style. But that's just how her hair, that was the style that the company decided to cut her hair as. I think it's cute. I like it. It's a different look for Velvet. Um, and then Carrie, just, I mean, because, yeah, Carrie's gorgeous. With her blonde hair and her pretty green eyes, and just, ugh, love Carrie. I did get one recently. Well, not recently, a couple years ago. But Tara, I got a Tara. That video is also on my channel. But she's definitely one of my favorites. I have her in one of my cases. But she's definitely one of my favorites. Just, I've wanted her for so long, and then I got her, and now I have her, and I'm just, every time I look at her, I'm still like, it just feels like I'm dreaming. I don't know. So yeah, Carrie or Talkie Velvet. Who is your favorite doll in your entire collection? That would be my Playmates Jill doll, made in 1987. She is one of the dolls that I have been wanting, probably, I'd say, since I discovered my love for dolls. Well, no, maybe a little after that. But Jill was probably like my first doll that I've wanted, like my first Holy Grail doll. And she's been my number one Holy Grail doll my entire life until just a couple years ago when a very good friend of mine sent her to me. And yeah, another very good friend of mine, if anyone knows him, Cricket and Corky's Clubhouse, who specializes in Jill dolls, helped me to repair and restore her to her original animated glory. Those videos are also on my channel. But yeah, he helped me get her working. He sent me a new battery compartment for her, and he pretty much talked me through replacing all the bands to get her arms moving, and then the bands in her head to move her eyes, mouth, and eyelids. And yeah, so she's fully working now. Besides her rewind function and her voice recognition, those are the only two things that I still need to get working. But right now, she works and she plays her tapes and sings her songs. That's good enough for me. I have a Jill. She has outfits. She has tapes. She works. That's all I care about. I'm happy with her. She may not rewind her tapes and she may not be able to, respond to a certain whatever response I have, but I have her and she works. That's all I care about. How do I restring my look around Chrissy and or Velvet? That's one doll that I completely forgot to even bring over here. Yay! So, that one will probably be in the next video. But this video is an hour long, so I'm probably going to continue this in the next part, which will probably be in a few days. It'll probably, honestly, be after next weekend, because I'm going on a little, not trip, but going to Frankenmuth for the flower festival, Sunflower Festival. So, my favorite Chrissy members are Mia, Brown Eyed Cricket, and Tara. Yes. Oh, you just reminded me. I don't know if it was you that asked or someone else if there's any dolls that I don't have that I still want. And the answer is yes, because Blue Eyed Cricket. That's a doll I want. But I'm probably never going to get. So I am making my own. And I put these eyes in her, and then I am rerouting her with Chrissy Tails. So I'll probably never get a Blue-Eyed Cricket, so make your own. And this cricket was not in the greatest shape, which is why I chose her. She is very pale, but, whatever. I'm going to have a Blue-Eyed Cricket. I don't care. So yeah, Blue-Eyed Cricket. Oh, and also the AA Tressie. That's another one that I don't have that I want. That's another video that is on my channel of when I got the absolute honor to restore someone's AA Tressie for them in the matter of only hours, because they came up to Michigan to, I think, visit a family member, and they were leaving the next day. So I literally stayed up all night restoring just that doll, just so I could get her off and sent home with her owner before they left back to, I want to say Indiana. I can't remember exactly where they were. But yeah, that video is also on my channel. Very, very stressful restoration because it was very time-based and I only had hours to do it. And the AA Tressie was like Daphne here, and she had the wool type hair. So washing and conditioning and trying to style her hair was very, very complicated because I found that many of my brushes did not work on her hair and it didn't smooth it. It frizzed it more. So I was very, very limited to what brushes I could use on her hair. And it was just so stressful. But yeah. Don't you get scared sitting with those dolls? No. No, I don't. Not even with this one, who is spirited. That is Miss Daphne. And she loves attention. Come on, man, reply. I just did. But yeah, so, yeah, AA Tressie was another one that I wanted. And then there was also AA Cinnamon, but I actually recently just got her too, which I just realized I don't think I made a video about on my YouTube. So maybe I need to do that. I don't know. But she is restored. She's pretty again, and she's in my store display area. But yeah. Really, hey, what you do for living. Confused by that one. But yeah, no, I don't get scared sitting around these. I am surrounded everywhere. Here, my room is wall to wall. There's dolls in front of me. There's dolls in my living room. Everywhere. Anywhere you look, there's usually a doll to be seen. But yeah, so this video is over an hour long. I am going to end this video here. This is only part one. Like I said, there is going to be a part 2 and a part 3 and maybe a part 4. But we shall see what the future brings. I asked, what did you... Oh, yes. The doll to add to my collection. Yes. Blue-eyed cricket and a Tressie. For sure. Would be a Betty Big Girl. I have 4 of those. Betty Big Girl is definitely... I love me some Betty Big Girl. One of them is spirited, and I'm pretty sure her name is Caroline. I can't remember exactly. Ever since I met my TikTok bestie, who's also a medium, it's just like every doll that I show on TikTok is, yep, there's a spirit attached to her, and this is her name, this is her age, this is how she went. And I'm like, girl, I actually just recently, the other night, went live on TikTok, and I made tags for all of my spirit girls, and I don't know where it went, but I made one for Daphne as well. But later on in the night, around like 3:30, I was asking Daphne some questions, and she did not like her hand tag, so I took it off. Right, Daphne? Yeah, she didn't like her hand tag, so I had to take it off. But yeah. So, yes, that girl is spirited. That is Daphne. And then I don't think I have any other... Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. This girl here which one of my besties found for me at a garage sale. I restored her. I'm not sure who made this porcelain doll, what her name is or anything, but her name is Isabel, and she is 8 years old. And I restored her hair, so it is all nice and bouncy again. But yeah. I haven't washed her outfit. I'm pretty sure, because she was with a bunch of other porcelain dolls, and they were all, I think where they were, the owner was like a smoker. So they are all pretty nicotine stained, and the camera doesn't pick it up very well, but she is very, very yellow. I wish that she looked that blue. Her outfit looked that blue. It has a very dingy yellow look to it. But yeah, so that's Miss Isabel. And then I don't think, no. I had another one that used to be over here, Beatrice. But yeah. Anyway, so this is part 1 of answering your questions. So stay tuned for part 2, which will probably be after next weekend, because I never put a time schedule on when I go live or anything like that. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a thing or two, a little tidbit of info. And I hope this, if you do get into doll repair and restoration, I hope you come back to this video and this helps answer some of your questions. But yeah, so that's about it for this video. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you. And yeah, I hope you all have a dollarific night and or day, whatever time it may be in your area. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Adios.